Hello my friends, welcome back to another video. Thank you for being here. I just wanted to say quickly, if you're new to the channel, thank you very much for subscribing. I've had a lot of you come in the last few days. I appreciate you all being here. As for my last video I uploaded this afternoon, that was just an extra safety layer, just to keep me safe, just in case. You never know how YouTube's gonna react. So anyways, as for the premium content I mentioned, that's not for way down the road, and also I'm always going to have free psychedelic content on YouTube, no matter what. So just wanted to clear that up if you're new. And then also, there's no also, let's just get into the video. Okay, so I've had a lot of people in the comments talking about DMT fear and anxiety, and recently someone suggested to me that I discuss that in a video, how I get over it and how I get through it. Because DMT can be quite intimidating, and the moments leading up to a trip can provoke a lot of anxiety. And there are some people I've seen that don't seem to have much fear. They can just go through with it every time, no problem. I'm not like that. DMT gives me fear pretty much every time. There are rare occasions where I'm just totally gung-ho, but that rarely happens. Usually I get quite anxious before a trip, and I have to talk myself up to it, and I just sort of have to, mentally prepare before I can just, dive into it. So maybe I'm not like the best person to ask, but, I'm sure some of you have got some great tips that you can leave in the comments for others, if you're one of those like super brave psychonauts. But come to think about it, DMT is really the only, well, probably 5-MeO DMT as well, but DMT is really the only drug that before I do it, I get anxious and scared every time. Acid doesn't give me that, mushrooms, or any other drug, really, ever. DMT, though, definitely does every time. Why do people get scared? I guess there's a possibility that the trip can go south. It can be a scary experience. It's not always, super happy and blissful. And then people who have never tried it before, the fear is just the unknown, I guess. And that's tough to deal with because there's no real good way to explain what it's like. Like, there's nothing I can really say that's gonna fully prepare someone for a trip. So I guess my advice to those people would be different. So the first time I did it I was pretty nervous, but I was mostly excited too. I talk about that trip in my 3 bad trips video, but I basically burnt the DMT and it burnt my throat and I had a terrible trip. So, first of all, just make sure you got everything in order before you trip and you know what you're doing, and maybe not do the meth pipe method. I wouldn't recommend that for a first timer. But anyways, this video is about the fear. So all I can say really, it was a while ago, first of all, but I built up to it in my head. You just got to think about it. This is like anything in life for me, like asking out a girl, for example. Like I'll think about it for a few days and I'll just get used to the idea and, have it in my head. It'll start out like I'm not doing it. Then eventually I'll be like, okay, maybe. And then one day I'll be like, I don't know if I'm going to do it, but then just suddenly I'll get an opportunity and I'll get an impulse. Eventually, if it's strong enough, the impulse is strong enough, I just go through with it. I just follow my impulse, and I just, like, for the DMT, it was like that. It was like I was going to take my hit and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I can't, like, why, it doesn't feel right. It's like standing at the edge of a cliff and like walking off of it, but knowing that there's like an invisible floor or something. I don't know, that's a weird analogy, but it's like that kind of, and you just got to trust that it's going to be okay, and you got to go through it. But your instinct is telling you not to, but you do it anyways, and you just force yourself through it. And I know that's bad advice, just do it, but that's sort of what it is. You just gotta follow your impulse. And then, okay, so some more practical tips is wait for a day where you're in a good mood, you're relaxed, you're not feeling high strung for some reason, and you don't got too much on your mind. Because I find each day is different regarding how I feel about wanting to do DMT. Some days I'll be like totally like no, I'm not up for that today. Other days I'll just be like really up for it, and I'll be like, yeah, definitely tonight I'm gonna do it. So wait for a day where you just don't feel so opposed to it. Maybe every day you feel really scared to do it, but you might notice that certain days you're a little less opposed. So just if you're planning to do it one day and that day comes and you're really not in the mood, just maybe wait. And also I notice that at certain times in my life, like one month might be different to the next. So there's like a day-to-day pattern and like an overarching long-term pattern. You know, lately it's been good. You know, lately I haven't been very afraid at all. Like my last live trip that I uploaded, that one I was a bit nervous, but overall, relatively speaking, I wasn't. Even though I knew I was going for a big trip, I wasn't. Another thing too, if you've had a string of bad trips and that's turned you off of it and you're scared, that's where I was, you know, about a month and a half ago when I started doing it again. The last trips I had were like almost a year prior to that, and they all went bad, like the last 3 or 4. I was probably doing it too much. I'm not sure exactly why, but I was scared to do it for a long time. And then that day when I did my first live trip, I don't know what it was, but I was feeling it, and I felt like I was ready to delve back into it again, and I was hoping that I wouldn't get a bad trip, and I was nervous. I thought I might, but I ended up having a good trip, and then that did a lot for my confidence with DMT. In my next few, I wasn't really nervous at all, so it can change, you know. Don't get too discouraged if you keep having bad trips. Just maybe wait till you're in a better place mentally. And just know that it can go either way anytime. Sometimes when I felt like nervous and thought maybe it might be a bad trip, it ended up being amazing. So you really never know, which is kind of like a tricky thing with DMT, is there's no like rhyme or reason. It seems like it's almost like it's running the show. But generally, if you're in a good place, a good environment, in a good mood, and you got good stuff and you do it properly and you're, you know, relaxed, then you should be good to go. And if not, then that's not like it's going to be like that every time. So one thing that's kind of more specific is the first couple times I did it, when I breathed out my first hit, my breathing got really heavy, and that took me by surprise. But that's like totally normal, and you just gotta like, one thing I noticed that helps is if I focus on my breathing, that'll take my mind off of other things, because if you focus on shit too much during the come up, like it can do weird shit, you know? So I find focusing on my breathing helps. It also helps just take the fear off of the breathing when it gets heavy, and it reminds me that it's normal. So it's just one thing to keep in mind. And again, that might not apply to everybody, you know? Some people might not notice the breathing at all. And so like, sorry, I just spilt water all over my face. I can't drink properly. So yeah, you know, you sort of get a feel for it, and, you know, learn how to deal with the fear once you start doing it, because it's different for everyone. And so you got to sort of just feel it out for yourself. But another thing that I've noticed that I've only been able to do in my last couple trips, normally I don't think about this, but it really helps if you can just tell yourself consciously, like you're in your room, you know, or wherever, and you did DMT and you're safe and nothing's wrong. And if you can tell yourself that, even just very briefly for like a split second, just remind yourself that, that really helps. It helped me with my last trip for sure. When I saw that invisible entity, I was telling myself, you know, it's a DMT trip. And it helped, and I wasn't afraid. It was like mind-blowing, but not scary. And just know that DMT is fun. It's fun to do, and, you know, most trips don't go bad, and even my bad trips I've sort of gotten something out of them. It was no worse than like a nightmare, but some people, you know, they do get freaked out for a while. So just be careful whatever you do, you know, make sure you get a scale, make sure you know what you're doing, research a lot, have a sitter, ideally have a sitter for sure. I'm going to make another video soon about methods of smoking DMT. I've done the meth pipe, I've done bong hits, dabs, and now the cartridge I've done. Those are like some of the main ones. So I'm going to discuss those anyways, and, you know, help anyone out trying to figure those methods out. But and then there's like the vaporizers, like the Vapor Genie and stuff. Those I don't think people have too much trouble with anyway. But all right, that's it for now, guys. Thank you for watching, for listening. More of everything coming up this month. I got that Elliott Smith video I really got to work on for the next couple weeks. Make sure that's all good to go. And then I'm going to post a video about the first trip chat soon. It's going to be March 6th, I think. I hate that word. 6th. It's hard to say. And then I'm going to start some sort of community event soon in the Discord. I want to be creative with it. I want to do something original and unique. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure what yet, but I'm sure I could come up with something. And then what else? The live streams have been going really good. 1 and 2. I streamed for 10 hours on Sunday. It was crazy. I did mushrooms and we had a blast. We had fun. A lot of good conversation. Thank you guys for participating. I'm going to do the next one probably Saturday night, I think, this time. So it'll be daytime in the UK this time. And then what else? I don't know. I'll announce that on Thursday, though. What is it, Tuesday? Yeah, it's Tuesday. All right, Thursday. I'll announce that. And then, okay, that's it. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching. I hope I helped. Share your comments or your tips in the comments. And yeah, that's it. Cheers. Leave a like, do all that stuff. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.